I'm Chris Stafford, and this is Art, the podcast where we get to know the women behind their art.
If you don't feel it, I'll make you feel it. I'll show you what I mean. If you don't feel it, I'll make you feel it. I'll bring you to your knees. If you follow me.
My guest this week is Chilean textile artist Carmen Mardonez. Carmen was born in Santiago, Chile in 1988. She's the oldest of 9 children, with 7 sisters and 1 brother. Her father, Joachim, is an engineer, and her mother, also Carmen, was a psychologist until raising her family took over. As a child, Carmen was into crafts and soon learned to sew, knit and embroider. She studied history and arts at the University of Chile and earned a master's degree in community psychology, also at the University of Chile. Whilst in school, Carmen volunteered at the local women's prison and studied art therapy as a way of helping the prisoners. In 2017, she moved with her husband Paolo to Los Angeles, where her dreams and aspirations to becoming a textile artist aligned with her passion for social justice. Carmen's vibrant artwork, using vivid colours, seeks to radically reimagine intimate spaces of memories, dreams, and discovery. She transforms discarded textile waste, such as bed sheets, pillow covers, and pillows, through her labour-intensive freestyle embroidery to create provocative fabric sculptures and installations. She says, "I seek to connect with these radically intimate spaces that store memories of exploration, discovery, and suffering." Carmen has held exhibitions across Los Angeles at the Jackson Dinsdale Art Center, JKR Gallery in Provo, Utah, Stay at Home Gallery in Paris, Tennessee, the Orange Studio Gallery in Portland, Oregon, and the Friend of a Friend Gallery in Denver, Colorado. Her work has also been shown in Building Bridges Art Exchange and the Craft Contemporary. She has received the support of several grants, scholarships, and art residences. Later this summer, Carmen will be relocating to Oxford, England, with her husband and their 6-year-old son, Juan. Carmen, hi, welcome to the program.
Hi, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so delighted to have heard about you through Emma Gray and the work that you do in textiles. And when I looked you up online, of course, on your website, I was just overwhelmed by the colors, the vibrancy of your color choices. And I know that right now, as we record, you are working on a piece which is all the colors of the rainbow.
Yeah, you got me. I am embroidering the rainbow.
And this is inspired by being Pride Month of June as we record.
I started before the Pride Month, so it was not on purpose, but yeah, I guess I am so happy that I'm working in this piece during the Pride Month. So I have right now my Pride people on mind while I'm working. So yeah, it's a really special piece right now. It makes much more sense.
Right. Yes, it puts it in context.
Yeah.
But your color choices are always so vibrant, Carmen. They are just so gorgeous. Just talk about that choice, because I want to get to your background, your Chilean background now, and you grow up, and we know, if we've been to, any of us have been to South America, how beautiful those colors are. Mm-hmm. Talk about what they mean to you and what they represent when you choose your colors.
So usually people think that they are like synthetic colors, like not based in nature. But when I pick them, I have nature on mind. So they're inspired by nature, actually by sky. So usually I pick my colors by a skyscape by skyscape pictures that I'm saving from Instagram. So, for example, like sunsets, storms, northern lights, sunrise. So, and of course, like rainbows that are related, right? Like with storms and those kind of things. So especially with this piece that turns like a rainbow, it's a mix of the sunset, the pinky sunsets in LA, and the northern lights. So that's why it has a lot of pink and also a lot of green and purple that are the northern lights. So it's like all of nature color base, but the shiny nature colors. So yeah.
Yeah, they're very vibrant colors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are.
Does that represent your personality?
A tricky question, actually. I will say that maybe a little bit. Maybe in some moments, but I'm kind of a shy person. And during the last couple of years, because we are far away from home, with COVID and everything, I've been dealing a lot with mental health issues. So I think that the colors that I've been using are not exactly the colors of my soul. They are more like I've been embroidering with the colors that my soul needs, if that makes sense. It's more that I've been feeling like sad, lonely. So probably the colors that I've been using are the colors that I'm being in need, like warm. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it actually does, because that was going to be my next question. Because those colors are so cheery and vibrant and happy and vivid colors, very bold colors.
Yeah,
it would make me think that perhaps that's what you want to represent. That's what you like to be looking at. You know, that is the world that you would like to portray, where you'd like to be.
Yeah, I didn't do it on purpose. Like it turned, like I was, as I told you, like at the beginning, I just like pick it, because I like those like pictures. Like I was like, oh, I like this sunset, this sunrise, this northern light. So I was like just picking those palettes. But when it turns, like when I started like thinking more about those palettes, and when I was exhibiting those pieces, and I was like giving more thoughts about my pieces, yeah, I started realizing that, it was probably my subconscious, like picking the colors that my heart, my soul needs. Not necessarily like how I was at that moment, more like what I need, and actually what the people also need, because I don't know, like, for example, I did like a huge installation last year, and people was like, oh, after all these years, like with COVID and lockdown and I don't know, like the wars and everything, like it's so great to see like art like so vibrant, so like warm, and you know, like textile also has that power, like especially when it's 3D, like people feel the texture, I don't know, like, so I'm been working unconsciously in the things that I'm been meeting and people. I'm happy to see that it's not just what I need, also what other people's need in this context of pandemic and I don't know. So yeah.
I totally understand that. And I'm curious, you mentioned that exhibition of last year, as to how you come to decide on a title for it. That one was called Unspeakable Dreams, Smothering Desires.
Yes.
How did you arrive at that title for it?
It was like a whole exhibition. So, that exhibition has like a huge like textile installation at the entrance, who was like 30 like bed sheets embroidered and people like can walk. I can send you pictures so you can like maybe show them like on the Instagram so people can get an idea. So people can like walk like in between the sheets and feel like the embroidery and the texture and the colors and everything. And in the other room, during a couple of months before the show, I was asking to the people in my Instagram to answer anonymously, like what was their deepest desire. So when they reply, I was embroidering in pillow sleep the answers. So in a second room, I fill the room with the desires in the pillow sleep. So each pillow sleep has one desire. So it was pretty cool because like different like genders and age has like different desires, right? So like some kids answer like, oh, I wish like the dinosaurs were alive. Other were like, I want to be like the best soccer player. Other people say like, I want like a female to be like the US president, or I wish like, I don't know, I want to be desirable. I want to be with a woman that I've been dreaming about like for the whole life. It was like a wall of desires, and it was so cool. And I feel really honored because I've been working with sheets, like discarded sheets and pillows for the last couple of years. And for the first time, I was embroidering in those discarded sheets and pillows, like the desires of the people, that they were not like necessarily the owners of those sheets and pillows, but like related, like to, I mean, like the idea. So that's why that's why the title of the exhibition about the like desires, but also because I've been working and dreaming during all these years in LA about like to be an artist and taking the risk and working hard and taking the chances. So it was like kind of like a play about those two things, like my desires and people desires. So the installation in the entrance in the first room, it was called I Dare. Playing with the same idea of like I dare to do like big pieces and to take risk and be an artist in a city who's full of artists, and be an artist and being a mom. Even when I didn't study art, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that it was like my first, I don't know if it was my first solo show, but my big first solo. I did want to play like big. So, yeah.
Well, you certainly arrived at doing all of those things, as you say, living in LA, surrounded by artists, a wife, a mother, full-time artist yourself. And I want to go back to your early days, though, Carmen, because you grew up in Santiago, Chile, and the oldest of 9 children.
Yeah.
And your mother, Carmen, was a psychologist. Your father, Joachim, was an engineer. And I know that you miss them all, and you're often homesick, and you've got another journey in your life coming up shortly, which we'll get to. But let's reflect on those early days growing up in a large family in South American Chile, which is very colorful, and we know it from the pictures that we see, even if we haven't been there, how beautifully colorful the textures are, the textiles in Chile. Tell me a little bit about how, your childhood was colored with those fabrics, and what the influences were for you to do what you're doing now.
Sure. Well, I'm the oldest of 9 siblings. So we are 8 women and 1 boy. He's in the middle. He's the 5th. It's weird. It's hard to me like to remember like my childhood. I don't remember much. I don't know if it's because like we were like always too many, like too busy. But it was like fun always. I think that I was always doing craft and I don't know, like painting or drawing. And my mom, she always, and my dad too, like he was the one who was dropping us at school and was drawing in our boards in the classroom for us. So like even if there were not artists, like art was like something important in our home. My mom and my grandma loves gardening. So like beauty was something like really, really important. And I think that I have that taste for beauty, in that sense for beauty, since I was a kid.
Were your clothes colorful?
I will say probably yes.
And did your mother make them? Or were you encouraged to sew?
No, not really. No, not really. No, I don't think so. Well, you have to think that if we were like that many kids, like she was always like taking care of someone. So no, she didn't make her clothes. At the beginning, like the first years until she has the 5th kid, she was also working as a psychologist. So she was like doing a lot. I don't know how she did it. Like I have just 1 kid and I'm like all over like it's too much. Like being an artist and a mom just with 1 kid and I'm like, this is enough. So I don't know how she did it. And so I was in a Catholic school, really conservative. So I learned how to embroidery there, while I was like really young. So always people like ask me like, oh, when did you learn how to embroidery? And I learned like the traditional way when I was young. the cross stitch and the other ways. Probably before I was 10 years old, to do like dress and towels. And I also learned how to cook and all that stuff to be like a good woman in the future.
And you have two sisters who are designers as well.
Yeah. So I study history in the undergrad in Chile, like the universal history. In Chile, the undergrad is a little bit different as in the US. So you study right away, like a career, not like here, like this college. So I study 4 years history. And I took some, like a major in art. And yeah, I have two sisters who study design. One is a physics, another a lawyer, another a psychologist. Yeah, I have too many siblings.
So what was it that you enjoyed doing then as a child? What were the crafts that you most had fun with?
I think that I enjoy a lot, like drawing. But I also was a really good reader. I read a lot. I love to read comics.
And were you designing, when you think of, you're now sitting down as we talk and working on a piece,
Mm-hmm.
were you always designing in your mind then from an early age, and when you went through art school and those early days of working with textiles? Was design part of it, or did that come at later?
No, like I think that I'm a perfectionist, so like too much. And I'm always, probably because I'm the oldest of a big family, and I was always trying to help my mom at home with the youngest and blah, blah, blah. I'm always trying to like look for the approval of the old, like the adults. So that's why I didn't pursue the art career, because it was like really stressful for me to do like what I really want to do, because I always wanted to look for the approval of the professor or my mom or whatever. Like in what I'm doing, it's like I wanna like do what they want me to do. So now that I'm doing art, I don't really think about it. My art is really cathartic. I pick the palette. I usually take a piece of fabric, right? And I start embroidering and just having fun. And my most amazing pieces are usually the pieces that I think the less. Like, yeah.
So improvising.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. So I have more control, and I, of course, think a lot in other areas of my life. I mean, I have a 5-year-old kid, so I have to like have schedules, and like your life has to have some like control, right? But in my art, I don't like that. Because I get freeze, like I get paralyzed. So yeah, I don't draw. I don't plan with my art.
Oh, so that makes me wonder then, when you were a child, with so many siblings, if your mother and your father kind of left you alone, or left your mind alone, did not interfere with your creative process, and didn't guide you and direct you in any specific way, but left you really to freestyle your creativity?
Well, I think that it was not just them. I think that is also like the 90s, like the art professors and everything. At least in my school, they were trying to guide you, like what was like the good way to do art, and like, oh, this is the way to do properly, like human figures, or like to paint or whatever. So if you don't do it like properly, it was incorrect or whatever. So yeah, or at least that was my experience in school, not university. And because my personality and everything, and I was trying to do the proper way, like the way that they wanted to do. Because I have some siblings that they were like, oh, I don't care. Like maybe they want me to do this way, but I don't care. I'm gonna do it the way that I want. And I think that that's amazing. But probably because I'm the oldest or whatever, I was like, oh, okay, so I have to do it how they want me to do it. And if I couldn't do it in that.
And so when you graduated from university, what was your plan then? Did you actually have a plan? Like, I want to be an artist?
No, because I didn't study art at university. So I studied history, and I did a master in community psychology. And I was working in Chile at the Catholic University in a really cool program for around 5 years with students and public and counties. Yeah. So it was something, and yeah, counties and prisons. So it was something that I really love. So yeah, I mean, like it's not that I was. It is not that I was to pursue art, and I didn't do it because I was scared or afraid to do it. It's just I did something else because I have so many passions, so many things that I love, and yeah.
And when you mentioned that history and arts at the Catholic University in Chile, and then a master's degree in community psychology at the University of Chile, and you also had training in art therapy and traditional knitting with horsehair. Tell us about that. Yeah.
Well, in Chile, that's a traditional craft, and it's really, really beautiful. So, yeah, I did, because I was working in prisons, I started like being a volunteer in the female prison in Chile while I was studying history, because the female prison was near to my campus while I was studying history. So, I mean, like, the situation, like the female prison in Chile is not that bad as the US one, but it's like pretty horrible. Like the prisons are like completely like full. There's not like rehabilitation there. Most of the people who are in the prisons is poor people. I mean, like, the situation is horrible. So I was going there like weekly, and working with the women that were there, because I mean, for different reasons, but I was there working and visiting the women who were in rehabilitation for drugs. So it was like really, really tough. And then is when I decided to study for art therapy, because I thought that it may help me to help them. So yeah, I studied art therapy for 1 year. It was 2 years, but I didn't really like the program. It was not really serious. So I thought that I was like kind of wasting my time and my money. So I keep visiting them, but I end like I stopped like going to the studying the program because it was not really good. So yeah, that with art therapy. Even though like I love the idea to be like an art therapist. And I think that I probably do something like that with my art right now. And with the horsehair, I can send you pictures, but of course it's a little bit hard to imagine if you haven't seen images, but it's so in Chile, people like cut the tail of the horse, of some horses, and they dye that hair like with different colors, and they use it for to create like some craft, like with this kind of the same technique that you do baskets.
It's very strong, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very strong, but of course it's like so mini because like the horse hair is so like thin. I mean, like you can't do like a basket like for fruit because that's big. Like you use like big branches, but they dye like the horse like in bright colors, and they do like butterflies, people, I don't know, like flowers, so many things. It's beautiful. And so I learned how to do that a couple of years ago. And I mean, like, I can do it. I'm not a master on that, but I can do it. But it requires a lot of patience. But yeah, it's something really beautiful.
Yes, it is another textile.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
Let's go back to when you left school then, because you said you rebelled against the conservative and religious education that you received, and you refused to become what you were trained for. But now your artistic work has become a way of expressing that resistance. Tell us more about that.
Well, I don't think that my parents, I don't think that they really think about it, or we haven't never like talk about it. But as I mentioned, like I was in a Catholic school, a really conservative one in Chile. Well, Chile is a really conservative country, as probably most of Latin America. So, yeah, as I mentioned, I learned how to embroidery, cook, and other things, like when I was really young. And of course, that was not to survive in the jungle. It was to be like a good woman and at the end, a good wife, right? And then, I studied, then I work, I got married, and I keep working. And then I accidentally, and that sounds so stupid, I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, I don't know, I think that I felt like I felt so scared. Like, it was like I suddenly, like, it was like all that training that I like received for unconsciously for all my life to be like a mom, a woman, I don't know, like a wife, suddenly appear. And I was like terrified. Like, I don't want to be like just that. I suddenly feel that it was time to be at home. And I was like, I'm not ready for that. And I don't want to be at home, like, because I had so many woman family that once they became moms, they stopped their careers, right? Like, they freeze like their lawyer's career, the psychologist career, like whatever they were doing once they get pregnant, once they have their kids, they just, I don't know, because they choose that or whatever, they got stuck at home, and I didn't want that. So yeah, then is when I decided to become an artist, because my partner was applying to a PhD, and so it was at the same time that he was applying to a PhD, and my plan was to keep working in the same area that I was working in Chile. So it was prison and public politics, and that was my field at that time, right? So, but while I realized that I was pregnant, I was like, okay, it's gonna be hard to be working in prisons and that thing in the US with a newborn. So maybe it's gonna be a good idea to give a try to my hobby, who was embroidery, as a professional thing. So yeah, that's when I decided to give it a shot as an artist.
And you're about to follow your husband Pavlo to Oxford, England for a few years, while he's researching there. How is that going to affect your artistic career?
Well, I'm gonna see what happens. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I hope it's gonna be a positive thing. The same that it was when I left Chile 6 years ago. At the beginning, I was like super scared because I was leaving my career there, that it was super successful. And it turns like, well, I mean, probably in Chile, I will not be able to do what I did here, right? And I hope, like, being in Oxford, like close to London and everything, it's gonna be like a really good opportunity to me, like to get like more international with my career. So yeah, we are like a pretty good team. Like, we are moving because at this moment, it's not that I can offer to my family something more stable. Like, it's not that with my art, I can pay the bills or nothing like that. So it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I mean, like, he can offer that.
So he will be what we call the breadwinner.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, let's move. And if the next time I can offer something like that, or close to that, well, he will have to like stay or move or whatever. Like that's our deal. So.
Well, that leads me to my next question, really about your art and where you are with it now. Does it have to be a commercial enterprise for you? Is that the goal?
Well, I would love to be able to make a living with my art, at least at some point, because I love so much what I'm doing. So if I'm able to make some money with that, it means that I'm able to like keep working on that during the day. Like if not, I probably have to like work in another thing. To contribute to the house. So
you've had several exhibitions around the country.
Yeah.
So you have establishing your name.
Yeah.
And also your eye and your style, in what you represent. Tell us a little bit more about that, because we see the freestyle embroidery in your work, but there's a journey going on in your mind, and why you use recycling materials like bed sheets and pillows that you mentioned, and how this works through in your mind when you're being creative. What is it that comes together? Psychologically, what is it that you're going through in your mind? I'm curious, because it's a very interesting journey with your textiles.
Well, at the beginning, it was like almost like a coincidence. Well, almost, because in Chile, it was like embroidering as a hobby. I was using some old t-shirts that I had, and I was working on them as a canvas, because I'm being always concerned about like textile waste and climate change and everything. So I'm always looking in some ways that I can like contribute, like, right, like to be more conscious about that, even like in a minimal way. So yeah, I was using some of my oldest t-shirts to not like dumping them. I was using as canvas. And then when I moved here, I was using like regular fabric to my embroideries until the pandemic started, and I ran out of fabrics. And we were locked down. This was at the beginning of COVID. And because we were like locked down, and so I had so much time, right? So I was like, oh, maybe I should increase the size of my embroideries. So I decided to explore with a bedsheet, like a queen size bedsheet. So this was the first time that I embroidered. I took one of my bed sheets and I embroidered on a bed sheet that is called Venceremos. It's in my website. And I did it just because I had more time and I didn't want to try like in big scale. So I took a bed sheet and I started embroidering, and it took like longer, and I didn't embroider the full sheet, and it's also a rainbow. So that was the first bed sheet, just because I didn't have like a fabric of the size that I was looking for. And after that, I was like, oh, okay, we are still locked down. And I would like to explore like maybe with more like 3-dimensional work, because I don't know, I'm boring here. So I took one of my pillows that I was not using, and I started to embroider it directly to a pillow. So that was my first pillow that I embroidered. And after that, is history. I never stopped. Like, I started embroidery on pillows, and when I ran out of pillows at home, that of course it was super fast because you don't have too many pillows right at home. And bed sheets. So I started asking to my neighbors, like on the Buy Nothing group, like, hey, do you have pillows that you are not using? And they were like leaving their pillows and their bed sheets like out of their porch, and I was picking them. And so, as I mentioned, like, it was like a casualty, like, because I started, but then I was like, oh, it doesn't make any sense, because I discovered that people like were like changing their pillows and their sheets like with so much frequency. Like, when I started asking, I was like, yeah, maybe someone is going to have a pillow or a bed sheet, but so many people has bed sheets and pillows. Like, Chris, like, after a week, I have like one room like full of pillows and sheets. Like, it was scary, like the amount of them. So I was like, oh shit, this is a thing. So many waste. And I'm always like aware of the textile waste. I'm a catastrophic person, like, by nature. So yeah, climate change, whatever, is so scary. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna go back to new fabric if I can use like these bed sheets that are almost like new, and people is ready to dump them. So I've been working with these bed sheets and pillow since then, non-stop. Yeah, that's the reason.
And you talk about the embodying the materialized repression of women, and that's what I'm getting to you. Your art is so much more.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, so it started like that, but then, I mean, like, I work at home, right? So when I'm working, I'm also taking care of my kid. Like, if you see my Instagram, especially in the past, when he was not going to school, you are going to see him like playing around. So I'm a mom, I'm working at home. So being embroidering on domestic textile as pillows, as bed sheets makes so much sense. It's like I'm working with things that I'm cleaning like every week for my house too. So it was like something that speaks to me so well. But also, so much happens on bed, on sheets, on pillows. So for me, and I discovered them like pretty fast when I was like asking for bed sheets and pillows on the Facebook group. Like, people at the beginning were like, oh, I don't know, like they're dirty, like they're clean, but there are some steam. Like, they're such an intimate objects. Like, people is nervous to give them to you, even if they're gonna dump them, right? Like, so they were like super generous to give it to me, because they were like, even if they don't know me and they were not gonna see me, they were like intimate objects. And I was like aware that so much happened on bed. Like, people cry, people make love, there's violence in the bed, there's happiness, there's like so much happens. So for me, even when I'm covering the bed sheets and the pillows with thread, and maybe most of the time there's no words on this material, it's a material that has so much history. There's so much happens there. So I'm giving a second life to this object. It's like, it's not going to be like in the dumpster or like in a landfill. It's going to be in a museum, in a gallery, hopefully in a collector home, like having a second life.
Like you're creating a new space in a way. And you talk about.
Yes.
That you're creating utopias of liberation, I think you said, and sisterhood. And I read, and also you're holding in those textile sculptures women's wildest dreams, but also their pain, the emotions that are involved with all of those things that happen. Yeah, on those materials.
Yeah, of course. Like, but all that, like, all of that, like, there are things that I'm being like thinking while I'm been working on these materials. Like, it's been like an amazing ride.
So what's the piece that you're working on right now? The rainbow piece that you're actually working on as we speak?
Yeah. So right now I'm working in a 2D piece that is made of some scratch of different bed sheets. And it has some lemon bags too. So it has like different embroidery techniques. And it has like a irregular shape. So it looks for me like an animal skin. I really like it. Yeah, I'm going to be showing this at the end of my residency in July.
Okay. I was wondering if it had a destination. It does. So where will people be able to see it?
Yeah, so it's going to be the opening in July 8th in Santa Fe building here in Los Angeles.
And do you have other projects that you're lining up now? Because I know you've got to relocate to England.
Yeah. No, I think that this is going to be the last one in Los Angeles before I start packing.
What do you hope for the future then in terms of, eventually, that's a financial reward. What are your other goals?
Yeah, no, actually the money, I'm confident about that. It doesn't make me like awake at night. I'm more like I want to be showing in museums like Tate and those kind of things.
So that's where the satisfaction is going to come from then, is that public validation of your work. Yeah,
exactly. Like I want to be able to be like living for my art, but I don't want to be like a commercial artist, if that makes sense. I mean, like, I don't want to be like selling my art as cookies. So I have to be like making art non-stop and not like being creating. I mean, like, if I want to have time to be creating new pieces and challenging myself so I can be showing in new amazing spaces. And for that, you need time. And
you need time, of course, and the space to create these pieces. I'm wondering what you like to hear about them if you're at an exhibition and you're eavesdropping.
Oh, I like when people is like, whoa. Especially kids, like kids are so hard to amaze. So when kids are amazed, I'm like, yes, I'm satisfied. So kids are my public.
Okay, so your son Juan, then, when he sees these pieces, what's his reaction?
Oh, he loves it. He's very supportive, and now he wants to have his own exhibitions. So he's like, "Oh, give me my space. Where is my gallery?" And yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That you have that, and that you would like to follow you into the art world.
Yeah.
beyond those goals and dreams, if is there anything outside of the art world that draws you? I mean, if you were not an artist, what would you be?
Well, social justice is my other passion. So I'm pretty sure I will be working on that, prisons and that thing. Is my passion. I mean, like in Chile, I was working in that for more than 10 years. So I was pretty involved in that, and yeah, I'm really passionate about it.
Yeah, and it clearly comes across in your work as well. There's so much to look forward to, Carmen, and a new journey, as you said, around the corner when you and your family go to England.
Yeah.
You know, the very, very best of luck. I'm sure, you know, that you'll find new inspiration, different inspirations there for your art, and it'll be interesting to watch your work and see how it evolves over time. And then maybe you'll come back to Chile, will you, eventually?
Yeah, I think so. All our family's there, so yeah, I think so. At some point, we will be back there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris, for having me.
You can find a link to Carmen's website and her social media in the show notes accompanying this episode. And also in the show notes, you'll find a list of some of Carmen's favorite women artists. And she also reveals what she listens to while she's working. You can find us on Instagram at the AART Podcast. That's art with 2 A's, where you can leave your comments, questions, and suggestions for guests, anyone you would like to hear from on the show. If you prefer, you can drop us an email to hollowellstudios@gmail.com. And as always, if you have a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, that helps our ranking, which helps others find the show. And coming up on the show, we'll hear from Akiko Styrenberger, Nazafarin Lotfi, and Catherine Andrews. I hope you'll join me again next week.